And right now, voters across Alabama are heading to the polls for a primary special election. It's the first step toward deciding who will fill the seat vacated by now Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Former Governor Robert Bentley appointed Luther Strange to that seat. Well, now he's working hard to keep it. Tonight, we have team coverage of the top contenders in this race. We have reporters stationed from Huntsville all the way down to Mobile. The focus in this U.S. Senate race has primarily been on the Republicans. There are 10 candidates on the ballot. The front runners are Congressman Mo Brooks, ousted Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore, and current Senator Luther Strange. Strange garnered the endorsement of Donald Trump via Twitter last week.
Yeah, and today he tweeted his support once again. The president said, quote, "Big day in Alabama. Vote for Luther Strange. He will be great." CBS 42 News reporter Michael Clark is covering the Strange campaign for us tonight. He joins us live in Homewood with more. Michael.
Yeah, Jim, Sherry, folks with this campaign continue to try to get things set up here. We don't actually expect to see Senator Strange until after the polls close, sometime around 7 o'clock. In the meantime, we've talked with his campaign manager. He continues to try to hit the radio airwaves and make phone calls to try to reach those last-minute voters, again, until 7 o'clock. As you mentioned, Strange is fighting to keep the seat he was appointed to earlier this year by former Governor Robert Bentley. Again, that was Jeff Sessions' seat. And the senator has aligned himself all along with President Donald Trump's agenda. He's continued to do that as his platform, picking up major endorsements from the president and the vice president, with even more encouragement posted by both on Twitter today. Any candidate, of course, will need more than 50% of the votes to avoid a runoff, but if Strange is able to get into a runoff, he says he likes his chances.
Well, I feel great about a runoff, but I'm very, I've been blessed to be elected twice statewide as Attorney General. So people know my record, know my character, know my agenda, and now with the President's endorsement, I feel really good today. I think it makes the choice clear for the people of the state.
Now, with support from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for Strange, other Republican candidates have tried to use that as a way to get at Senator Strange. We talked with Strange about some of his frustrations in the Senate. We'll hear about that coming up at 6 o'clock. But for now, reporting live inside the Senator Strange watch party, Michael Clark, CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
Well, right now, former Alabama Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore is leading the pack among the latest polls with the Republicans.
Yeah, we caught up with him today in Etowah County. As you can see here, he rode in on his horse, arriving at his polling place in Gallant. Tonight, Moore and his campaign will be watching the results in Montgomery, and that is where CBS 42 News reporter Jack Royer picks up our team coverage. Good evening, Jack.
Good evening, Sherry. Here at the RSA Activity Center in Montgomery, there's been contemporary Christian music playing on the PA system this afternoon for the man who's running on his Christian values, who says he wants to return morality to the United States. This room behind me, they hope, plays host to a victory party, or at least a party celebrating getting the most votes and making a runoff tonight. They're hoping that low voter turnout that's predicted benefits Roy Moore, saying his supporters will vote no matter what. The judge himself voted earlier today in Etowah County in Gallant, that's just outside of Gadsden, in only Roy Moore's fashion. He and his wife Kayla rode in on horseback to their polling place. He's run a campaign rooted in those Christian values he's talked so much about, saying he wants to return America to morality, and today he told reporters he wants to take those Alabama values with him to Washington.
They want to stay stagnant. They don't want to change. They don't want to do what they're supposed to do to move this country. And I think that's what we do want. The people want. People want to see Congress action. They don't want to just talk about it.
This night comes after a 3-month slugfest in which all of these candidates have battled it out to get to here. Roy Moore has run a significantly smaller campaign than his primary challenger, Luther Strange, of course, the incumbent senator. He's outspent Roy Moore 10-1. Moore has only spent about $286,000, and they've still got some cash on hand, hoping they can spend that in a runoff after tonight. We've got another live report at 6 o'clock, and I'll tell you how campaign staff say the judge is feeling tonight. That's at 6. For now, reporting live in Montgomery, Jack Royer, CBS 42 News. Local coverage you can count on.
Jack, thank you. Congressman Mo Brooks of Huntsville is another top contender in that GOP race.
Brooks boasts support from conservative Republicans. CBS 42 News reporter Stefan Dingle in the Rocket City tonight for us, covering the Brooks campaign. And Stefan, how has the candidate, Congressman Brooks, been spending his day?
Well, Jim, it's been quite an interesting day, actually. When we pulled up here to his campaign site, he was actually in the back of his truck pulling out those signs, getting in, helping his campaign staffers get the venue set up here, which is still being set up, which is why we're outside right now. We're going to be going in a few minutes. But if you take a look at the video we shot earlier when he was at the polls, he voted here at a local church that he usually votes at. And he actually told us that when he showed up to the poll site that he wasn't able to vote initially because they had him down as an inactive voter. He did explain it was an error due to the post office or address or of some sort, but he was able to eventually vote. Now, obviously, this race today is a big deal. A lot of eyes on Alabama as Congressman Mo Brooks, who has been in the heat of the political spectrum in the past couple of months. He's looking to take some of those votes from Luther Strange and Roy Moore, and he's going to have to figure out a way to do that with a 30% voter turnout. So, again, as we go inside, he's supposed to be coming here a little after 7 o'clock. That's when the polls wrap up. And, of course, we'll bring you live reports and another one coming up here at 6 o'clock. For now, we're live in Huntsville. Stefan Diggle, CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
All right, Stefan, thank you. Now to the other side of the aisle, the Democrats, 8 people seeking the party's nomination there. Former federal prosecutor Doug Jones is the front runner there.
CBS 42 News reporter Jamie Ostroff is covering his campaign. She's live in Birmingham. Jamie?
Jim, Sherry, in just a matter of minutes or hours, Doug Jones and his supporters are going to be gathered here at 5 Restaurant in the Lakeview District. You did mention his previous experience. He was the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, but he is coming into this race tonight from the private sector. Doug Jones is a practicing attorney. However, he does have some Capitol Hill experience back in the late 90s, early 2000s, or rather earlier than that. He was staff counsel for the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he goes into tonight hoping this experience on the Hill bodes well for him. He does have some high-profile endorsements, including from former Vice President Joe Biden. But as we get ready for the results here this evening in Birmingham, Jones told me that he is feeling cautiously optimistic.
I think the time is right for Alabama. You know, number one, I think for a long time, Alabamians have not had an awful lot of choices. And people are looking for those choices now. They're focusing on issues and not just political parties. And so we felt like it was time to just step up and to let a voice be heard and to give hope to some people that do not believe they've had that hope in the last few years.
Of course, the Senate seat is going to be a huge get, not just for Doug Jones, but for Democrats in general. This has been a Republican Senate seat for years. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll hear why Jones feels he is the Democrat to take that seat for his party. Live in Birmingham, Jamie Ostroff, CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
Of course, on the other side of the ballot there, a Mobile businessman and Navy veteran. He's running on that Democratic ticket as well.
He's been leading some polls. CBS 42 News reporter James McConaughey is in Mobile with a closer look at Robert Kennedy Jr.
Well, I'm here at the Admiral Hotel in Mobile with the campaign for Robert Kennedy. They'll be watching the results come in right here tonight. We're still waiting for the party to get started. Kennedy entered this race as a relatively unknown candidate and was even labeled a mystery candidate, which would seem to add yet another obstacle for a Democrat to overcome in the deep red state of Alabama. But he does have name recognition going for him, and his campaign says he's been polling well ahead of the race. So it seems anything could happen, and I'll be here tonight to bring you updates as the results come in. In Mobile, I'm James McConaughey for CBS 42 News, local coverage you can count on.
Right, political analyst Steve Flowers now joins us to break down this special election.
And Steve, I want to thank you for coming in today. It's a busy day. Turnout is a big story today, though. It's even lower than the Secretary of State predicted so far.
Yeah, it has been all over the state. Here in Jefferson County and Shelby County, the suburbs of here in Birmingham have been low all over the state. So that's the story of the day.
Who wins with a low turnout?
More, unquestionably.
Is it enough, though, that he possibly can do this without a runoff in September?
Possible. If it's 10 or 12%, his people are going to vote. They're over 70, and 70-year-old people are the ones who really show up to vote. It's been a really, really low turnout, which I had predicted it would be. It's not a reflection of Alabamians because, you know, you think about this. Any state, August 15th, one race to go vote for, 95 degrees, you know, school starting, you know, it's only 70-year-old people who are going to show up, and those are your religious zealots who are going to vote for Roy Moore.
But this is an election that the nation is watching. Luther Strange, one of the first to get an endorsement from President Trump as far as a contested Republican race, first in the country for that. But does he really win? Because this weekend things really got hot for the president. Is it a good thing to have a Trump endorsement or not?
I think it's good, but endorsements never have carried a lot of weight in Alabama. Alabamans are somewhat independent, and if you looked at the polling, sure, Donald Trump's popular, but Roy Moore is probably as popular as he is among that hardcore Republican voters.
How about that?
I mean, you see, what I'm saying is Moore probably trumps Trump in Alabama among that hardcore 30% evangelical vote who going to vote. And a poll is who shows up to vote. See, this is not a reflection of the entire electorate. You can't blame Alabamians for not voting today. 95 degrees, one race to go vote for. They don't like any of them running. I mean, you got to want to go vote.
But we should just, I know we got to wrap real quick, but we should just mention on that Democratic ticket, Robert Kennedy Jr. supposedly leading Doug Jones?
I don't think that'll occur. I think Doug Jones getting all the right endorsements will carry the day for him. But probably there ain't going to be enough votes to count in that primary. He'd probably get his kin folks to go vote for him and win.
All right, that's our. I understand what you're saying. Low turnout benefits Roy Moore is the story of the day. Polls close at 7. Still time to vote. That's political analyst Steve Flowers. He'll be back with us at 6.
And throughout the night with our election coverage. Voter turnout today, of course, forecasted to be about 20 to 25%. Here's a look at some of the voters we saw today. It turns out the forecast is trending a little high because the Secretary of State's office now says it's more like 10 to 15% of voters who are casting their ballots so far today. And as Jim said, if you haven't already voted, you still have time. Polls are open until 7 o'clock.